Gratitude and Anthology is out.
With over 50 different perspectives and stories on gratitude, this book captures what most books don't. The secret sauce is in the number of voices and stories where you'll be sure to find a personal connection to so many as I did. A really excellent book, David Freeman. Found exclusively on Amazon.com.
And hearing what you said about your book and just not setting the goal very high, that it reminded me that a friend of mine, one of the gals that went through the master's program for women in Houston, Pam Lilly, whom is a dear friend, and I love her, and she just sent me the manuscript of a book that she has just finished writing, and asked me, such an honor, she asked me if I would read it, if I would edit it, if I would give her some feedback on it. And she struggled with herself, and she's a woman of faith, so she struggled with God too, about not wanting to write this book. I do not want to write this book. I've lived this. I've carried it. I've cried over it. I don't need to write it. But it was kind of like, the hound of heaven, right? You just wouldn't leave her alone. And she just finally knew that she needed to write this book. And so it's her story of being a woman of color, growing up, and what that was like for her and her family and her whole journey. And I am just honored to be able to read it and absorb that for her and give her my thoughts. I mean, we've talked about it. I've gone through the struggle with, she would call me and she would say, I've got this book and I have the title and I don't want to write it, but I have to write it. She was just compelled. She had to write it. And so now she's written it with no expectation. Right. I mean, she's like, okay, I'm being true to God. I'm being true to myself. I've written this book.
Right.
And now
that's beautiful. Well, that's with giving, we'll say it's like giving in, right? Like she didn't want to do it, but she's like, I have to do it. So she's doing it and she's just putting her heart into it without expectation. And it's that's the amazing thing about being in that state is like people just need to get started, right? Like that's what it comes down to, because the magic can't happen. It can't, right? Unless we get started, right? If you don't get out of bed, you're not going to meet anybody. You're not going to have conversation. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, that's the, whatever gets you into the zone to get started, because then that's where the magic happens. That's where the conversations, that's where now she has this manuscript, and now you're going to absorb it. Your ideas are going to be shared. You're going to think of people or assist her in some way to, who knows, right? But if she she didn't write it, she has nothing to show.
Exactly.
And who knows where that's going to go. And I love, I meet people, and I've gone into little mini mentorships with people, because when you have a book, people understand, at least how to do that, right? Like it's a completion task, right? I'm talking to a couple of people about slowly mentoring them into, they have great stories. I tell them they have great stories. And then my whole thing, we'll see if my friend Scott still listens to the podcast or not. No, he has a great story about going through his divorce and the things he learned, and just really great. It's just it's a beautiful story. And, and we've talked about, we sat down about it, and he's got ideas for it. And so it's like a couple weeks ago. So I'm just telling you, so a couple weeks ago, because I'm definitely not being forceful with him. I wrote him, I said, because I know he's formulating things. I wrote him, I go, but how about this week you commit to sitting down one day for 15 minutes to write? Because see, what he's been doing is planning. Planning's nice, but you can plan forever. And that doesn't mean he's going to, but like, I know for me, when it comes to a book, literally sitting down and writing for 5 minutes or 15 minutes is actually, it's a vote for a book. Like it's literally the vote for having a book. Like it's nice to voice automate stuff. It's nice to write chapter ideas. It's great. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to have bones, but like the real process is making time. And granted, he could spend 15 minutes a day once a week for the next 3 years. I don't care, right? It's like whatever your process. Me with 6 months every day, 500 words a day. That was my process because I could do it, right? And that's what that happened.
Yeah.
But my friend Musha, he wrote every Sunday for 2 years for his book. My friend Peter heard that same story, heard it wrong, thought Musha said it was 100 days straight. Peter wrote his book in 100 days. But that was just with Peter's. It's like I had a piece of paper and I'd make an X as long as I touched it, right? As long as I did something, right? That had to do with my book. Like as long as I wrote something, it'd be a paragraph, right? Like the touch points. But that's where that magic is. So that's exciting. You've been with her and you know the story, and now she's allowing you to be part of the birthing process. Honestly, like she just she's put this together. Now she's putting it in your hands because she trusts you so much. That's really beautiful.
I mean, I'm truly grateful for that. I really am. I get kind of choked up, so I promised her and promised myself that I would give it my ultimate best, that I would be honest and very careful with this gift that she's given me to allow me to do this. Yeah.
So has she sent it to you yet? Are you in the waiting process? Oh, okay.
No, I just got it, and I'm about a third of the way through. I'm just reading and just writing notes. I'm reading it very carefully and writing notes, and because I want to be able to dialogue with her, about what it said to me. In certain places, we lived very different lives, and I want to take the time to rest in that space, and to really kind of absorb the fact that some of the things that she was thinking, I would have never had those thoughts, and even today, some of the fears that she has, I would never have those.
Right.
And there's just so much there. It's so rich.
Love that. Yeah. I, the book that I, Dear 2020, Letters to a Year That Changed Everything, that the book I released about perspective is, again, like it speaks that whole, when you get to hear other people's words and their experiences, it just, you didn't experience it. Maybe you never experienced, but it allows you this mirror reflection of this, who they are. And you find, makes you appreciate more of the things in your life. Right? Yes. Like you say.
Well, and thinking about what I do as a mentor, some people share themselves with you on pages in a book.
Right.
Some people share their thoughts with you on a podcast. Some people share their thoughts with you growing together through a mentorship, like you have with your friend. And so there's so much more to it than people think. It's crazy, the obstacles that people have towards mentoring. Like, well, if they either think, well, I can do it on my own. I don't need anybody else. And they're right. If they think that, they probably don't need it because they wouldn't receive it.
Right, exactly.
Or most people think, well, I really can't afford the time, or I can't afford to invest in myself, or they don't even know what mentoring is. They think that mentoring is coaching,
right.
And it's very different than coaching, or they're fearful that they're going to have to open up to somebody. So there's that fear element that sneaks in there. And then, I don't know, I think with a lot of people, they're just, it's like, okay, well, what if I get this mentor, and what if I can't change?
Oh, wow.
It's that lack of confidence. Like, what if they can't even help me? I mean, that's a huge fear. So there's so many obstacles to mental obstacles that people go through when they think about having a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
because I've been able to, usually one of the conversations that I like to have with the people that I mentor, once we've gotten down the road and we're safe
Right.
with one another, I like to ask them that question. Why did you want to be mentored?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you say yes to this program? Because I mentor through a couple of different vehicles,
Mm-hmm.
and as well as my own website. And it's always interesting to hear their honest feedback. And some of these things that I just mentioned showed up.
It's interesting because I guess it's just the fear, right? Of fear of the unknown or fear of judgment or whatever, right? Like I don't know. Yeah, I with me, it's like I just always want to live like just being curious, just being curious and open.
Yeah.
But I mean, I I know it takes a village. I mean, even if nobody wants to, if the person doesn't believe that, it's like you didn't, you speak about gratitude and people, even people it affected you negatively. You're still where you are specifically because of these experiences and these people. Like it isn't like you were born and here you are alone wanting to like, climb the mountain or whatever. Like it takes a village, and you can get to the top of the mountain feeling alone. You can. It might take you be ungratifying, and it might take you an extra 10 years. But I don't want. I mean, I like I love meeting people that can help me on my journey. I love meeting. I mean, here's another great kind of a mentoring-ist type story. Dear 2020 came out, and one of the authors for it reached out to me and said, I've got a friend, his name's Ryan. He's into gratitude. I just want to connect you guys. And I was like, okay, I was like, that's great, and I get on a call with Ryan. I don't know really much about him. He lives in Hong Kong, and we start talking, and he shared that he's been sober for I think almost 2 years, and he started saying that his gratitude practice basically started because his sponsor, which I guess you could call a mentor, right? Said, just kind of turned him on to gratitude and said, why don't you write a few things you're grateful for in the morning? And I said, I was like, well, that's great. And that's, I call that, I have a book that I'm working on that's called intentional gratitude. That's where you go from reflexive, which is just saying thank you, to intentional, which is like you're meaning to do it. And he said he started writing 3 times a day. And then he would get on the call with his mom every morning and just share these things with his mom, who lives in another country. And he said they did that for a while, and then she started writing her own. So every morning they would get on the call and they both share 3 things they're grateful for. And then he said, now my dad does it too. And I was like, I'm telling you the story, and I just feel like overwhelmed because I think how beautiful is that, where somebody just shared this idea. Why don't you just write a few things you're grateful for? It's like the same thing. Why don't you write a page a day and see what happens, right? Why don't you just think what you're grateful for 3 things in the morning, see what happens, And in his case, like his mom and his dad have all these moments. And the reason it really spoke to me is because the pinnacle of, I have the 5 steps to a happier you, or I'm trying to think of the title at the end of the book, these 5 steps of gratitude steps, these practices, to be a catalyst for gratitude is it's many things. Like we said, kindness, showing, being appreciating, showing up. But honestly, just sharing what you're grateful for to other people creates that space. You know what I mean? Because you're creating moments and memories and gratitude. And he was speaking, I told him, what you're doing is like the highest form there is. Like it's it's that self-actualization when you can share it with somebody else and that inspires somebody to share it back to you. Okay, so I told you all that to say, to get around to this. So the book comes out, this, and this, right? But so Ryan, he's a marketer for a really nice digital frame company. And he basically was like, if I can help you in any way with your marketing, your books, or anything, like I'm really happy just to help you. So he's
right.
Specifically, what I'm telling you is like, I put my artwork out, it resonated with him, and we connected through these little grateful moments, right? Because actually there's a lot more in there, but I just gave you a couple of them. And then he's mentoring me on marketing because he appreciates what I do and he wants to help me.
Yeah.
Right? You put the gifts out and then the gifts come back and the world goes round, right?
Exactly. And I I love that. I love that positivity because it's out there. We just have to kind of reach for it, right? I mean, being a positive person and seeing life as half full and having that belief that all things, work out. Negativity just, it does breed contempt, and no one wants to be around someone that is not grateful or that is negative or who always focuses on what's wrong instead of what's right. And John Maxwell, one of the things he says all the time is to be a lifter. I love this, to be a lifter and not a leaner.
There you go. Yeah.
Right. And for me, I mean, I probably maybe not 10 years ago, maybe about 8 years ago. I don't know. I love Zig Ziglar and all that he was and all that he gave. But one of his quotes, and this to me defines mentorship, that people will go further than they thought they could when someone else thinks they can.
Right. That's so true.
Really. Uh-huh. And that's what I want to bring to my, to everything that I do, to the people that I meet. I want to be a lifter. I want to bring positivity. I want to help them to, no problem. And to just be that positive person in their life that really wants to help them grow and change. That brings me joy. That makes me grateful to be able to do that.
Right. Yeah. It's the same thing with me too. And I love to thank you for saying that, lifter, not leaner. I try to sit back and like think of it, with people. I don't ever want to feel like I'm pushing or pulling. I just want to go with the flow. Right. I don't want to feel like I'm, I don't want to push too hard, because pushing too hard goes back to that whole mentality of like, this is the goal. I have to make the goal. I have to reach this line. And honestly, like if you just get in a state of flow where it's just like, you're just there in the moment and you're just going to allow what's going to happen, again, just being grateful for being in the room. Right. So I talk about, goals within, what would be a healthy goal in a business situation, right? Like, well, the healthy goal is you're shooting to get the interview. Your goal, you obviously you want the job, but your goal can't be get that specific job, because you have no control over that. What you have control over is getting the interview. And if you can go into the interview process with the mindset, I'm grateful I'm here. And I like to tell people, you should go in with going, tomorrow I'm going to write this person a thank you card, regardless of what they say to me, because I'm here. And if you can go in with that mentality, you're going to have an open conversation. You're going to be much more present. You're going to be, it's not going to be so serious, right? Like, because you can't make somebody hire you. You don't know who else is in the room. You don't know what happened that morning. There's just too many elements out of play. All you can do is appreciate, be there, hope for the best. Like I said, I like the idea of like, I'm going to write this person a thank you card. Like just the mentality of I'm already in thank you mode, regardless, because this is my goal was to sit here with you, and I got there. Here I am. Yippee.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing like attitude. I mean, good or bad, right?
Right.
And one of the best things about what I do is that it isn't just a one-way experience. It's never a one-way experience. I learn and grow right along with them. And I get challenged with the things that they bring to the table. And it allows me to stop and reflect. In fact, that's one of the biggest lessons I think that John Maxwell has ever taught me. And that is that he says that experience isn't the best teacher, that it's reflected experience that's the best teacher. And so if we just power through life and we don't ever slow down enough to reflect on what just happened, what just happened, what did I learn, why did that affect me that way? All of those questions that we need to, if we can take just a moment to be still and to reflect, then we're going to learn. We're going to learn from it, and we're going to grow from it.
Yeah, that's so true. And I have my friend Rajesh who has a book on gratitude, he did this Mind Valley talk, and he was basically like, we go around all day labeling things, right? It's just our mind. We label things like whatever's happening, good or bad, right? Happy,
Yeah.
sad, like all these labels. He's like, what if we just had two labels? He's like, lessons are gifts. It's like, so anything in life, if you could just initially
Oh, I
pivot
like
to,
that.
okay, this is obviously just a gift, or what is the lesson here? Okay, I'm being taught something. I have to, I'm not going to zone out now. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to like displace thoughts. I'm just going to, okay, what am I learning right now? Because it's a mindset. You could either be like, this is the end all be all. I'm upset. There's nothing but bad out of this. Or you can go, okay, what did I learn? Because your body, you're feeling something. So obviously you can learn something because you're physically being affected by it, your mind or
Yes.
your body. What's happening here? Why did this happen? How can I not have it happen again? That's a really easy question, right? It's like, what did I, and then, okay, so what is that action I'm not going to do again? Or, what did I do here that I shouldn't have done? I remember recently I had a friend come over and help me with my condo, do some installation, and a really nice guy who'd helped me in the past. And in the past, he'd been, we never talked about price. He was just reasonable. The last time he came in, he charged me a lot, and I just paid him. And then I realized it really upset me, and I realized that my lesson learned was this: he's, it's not bad on him. He's throwing out a price. Obviously, I could have said no. But what I'm saying, my lesson I learned was, if anybody's working for me in the future, anybody, it doesn't matter if it's a friend or not, we're gonna have a price. Therefore, that will never happen again, because that was that was on me. So the way to correct that feeling if it ever happen again, the rule now is, if somebody comes over, we understand the price.
That's yes.
Lesson learned. And a gift. Now it's a gift,
Lesson.
right? Now it's a gift because it's not going to happen again.
I love that. Lesson or gift. Okay, I love
Yeah,
that.
lesson. I'll send you that. Come on, Alex. I'm sorry. I don't know why she's talking to me. I'm sorry. I usually have that off. Yeah, I'll send you that Mind Valley talk that Rajesh did, because he wrote a great on gratitude, and it's just a really beautiful. Just to
I
see
would
the
love it.
imagery is so it's so great. Well, I know you have. We're almost at the top of the hour here, and I know I didn't get to many of your questions, so I apologize for that.
No, this has been so amazingly fun. I mean, I have loved it. We've just kind of gone in all kinds of different directions, and it's been delightful. Thank you, Chris.
Oh, you're welcome, Sandy. Thank you for sharing your dad and Charles with me in the beginning there. I love that, and your friend with her book. Speaking to that again about slowing down, like that's the amazing thing about writing your story, and it's great that she did it. Is like when you slow down and you get to write it, you get that perspective shift we're talking about. You know what I mean? You're reflecting opposed to living it. And that's a powerful thing for anybody, especially in a traumatic situation. So the fact she did that, it's how healthy is it for her? And then the amazing thing is, like my friend Peter says, he's like, if you don't write down your stories, they disappear. So I know that just from what you told me, that she has amazing stories in there about her life that people will be able to reflect on, and and it matters, and people are going to learn and feel from her sharing all of that, which is beautiful. And that you get to be the person that she's handing it off to originally. What a gift
I know.
for you to receive.
It is a gift.
Yeah.
It is, because she does matter. Her life does matter. Right. And I'm so very proud of her. I mean, if there's the one thing that I want to convey to her, is that I'm so proud of her, that she had the courage and to do this, and that she followed through with it. She will never be sorry for that. I know that.
Right. It's a big deal. It's a big, so many people want to write books. There's so many people thinking books, and it just to do it, like I said, for her to have that manuscript it just mentally, it's like, so it's so massive on so many different levels. And I want to share with you, Sandy, because I loved what you shared about Pam. What's her name? Pam Lilly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do a virtual book tour with Peter. We've started. So if in the future, when she gets the book out, if she'd like a platform to be able to share it, we do. As of right now, what we're doing is we have 4 authors show up, and they each get 10 minutes to share about their books, and then we have like an open discussion. And it's if I don't know if she's somebody who want to do that, but I just want to let you know that if you want to give her an incentive, say, your friend Chris has this thing and I don't mind sharing. Obviously I can share some of that with you, but if she's, whenever that would be, as long as we're still doing it, who knows when, with time and everything, but I would definitely welcome her to come on, because it's a powerful opportunity to share the book, but also you get to meet these other authors, which again, connections, meeting people, conversations, you never know who you're in the room with just because you created your art. Yes, right? Like we talked about, because she had the book, she knows you, and there we are. So I want to, here we are, so I just, just keep that in mind.
Thank you, Chris. That would be a gift for her, and I will definitely let her know that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Sandy. Well, let's we're gonna say bye here, but I want to, when we stop, don't just hang up, because I have one more thing I wanted to ask you about. But before we close out here, if you could just share the best place for people to reach out to you.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm on LinkedIn, Sandy Olsson, speaker and mentor. I have a Facebook page, or you can go to my website, which is really the best thing. It's mentorsandy.com. mentorsandy.com. And you can, if you want to just talk to me about mentoring, sign up for a 30-minute free consultation, and I'd love to chat with anybody that has any questions.
I love that. I love how you just thank you for that, because I love when people, I would say one last thing here, when people have those on there, I know, like you just said, like what you said, it's like you care and you show up. Like that's what that is. That last thing saying, hey, you want to chat about mentorship for 30 minutes, just have a conversation. Like, I'm here. Like, and one last little story, just to tag on to what you just did there. A friend of mine connected me with one of the retired presidents of Starbucks, and his name's Howard Burchard, and she was like, I need to connect you, and then she said, she told me about his books, and she shared a podcast with me. He did, right? So I listened to his podcast, go, this guy's great. I can tell he's, it seems like someone he wants to help out. And then at the end of the podcast, the guy goes, how can they reach out to you? And he goes, well, here's my phone number and here's my email. And I go, I just went, wow, this guy really cares. Like he's, you know what I mean? It's the same. You have a link on your site, but it's the same thing. Like when you set things in play where you're like, look, I'll just have a conversation with you for a half hour. I'm not trying to charge you any money. We're just going to have a hello conversation. Like that speaks volumes to the fact that you care, you show up, and you want to help. So I just wanted to bring that home. Because I love that so much.
Well, that just shows that you're accessible.
Exactly.
And people that I'm here for you. If you want me to be, if I can be. Yeah. Right.
It's a beautiful thing. I don't think people, it's really beautiful. So thank you. I feel I need to put something like that on my website. I don't have that. So because we've had this conversation, I should put something just so if people want to have a conversation, I can make it really easy for them. So, you've mentored me because we've had this conversation through this conversation.
Wonderful. Well, I use Calendly. It's very easy. It's easy to connect with you, or people can go on and schedule a time that works for them, because you set the times that you're available. So it's a very simple tool, and it works great.
Yeah, I have one of those. I need to figure out a better. I guess I just need to be able to adjust it week to week, is what it is. Because I don't have a set schedule, which can be good and bad. I appreciate it right now, though. So
yes, a little flex time, right?
Yeah. Well, Sandy, thank you so much. I'm so grateful you came on. I'm grateful we met, and I really appreciate again you sharing these people with me, your stories, and how important mentorship is. I'm 100% agree with you on your on the belief that that's such an important thing in people's lives for reaching success or their goals, or becoming the person they want to be. Having somebody that cares about you, that wants you to succeed, is a powerful thing that has more value than you can't put a dollar value on that. So
no, you can't. Well, thank you, Chris. Blessings on your day.
Thank you, Sandy. Well, I'm Chris with Sandy. Remind everybody they got a lot to be grateful for. And if you'd like to start a gratitude practice, this is simply waking up and writing 3 things you're grateful for is a great start. So I'm Chris, Sandy.